Hey guys, welcome back, and this is a video I have been wanting to do for a long time. So this is going to be the final video before my final mock draft, which will be coming tomorrow. Well, I guess at the time you see this, it'll be coming midnight tonight. So I'm pretty excited about that. It'll be the final mock draft, and then we're going to be busy for draft. We'll do draft grades. We'll do a day 2 mock draft. We'll do all sorts of really fun stuff here. So hit that like and subscribe button and stay tuned. But this is my guys in the NFL draft. These aren't the best players at their positions, but these are players that I think we are sleeping on that are some of my favorite sleepers down the board. Now, with a couple of exceptions, I think most of these guys are rumored to go late day 2, early day 3. So, like I said, a couple of exceptions here, which we'll get into that. But these are some of my favorite guys in the class that I love talking about. If you guys want full in-depth analysis on most of these guys, be sure to go check out the playlist down below where I've done over 160 prospect spotlights. And stay tuned, I've got a major announcement coming this Thursday that is really going to shake up this channel and this industry as a whole, I really do believe. But guys, let's go ahead and get into it. The way we are going to orchestrate this, we are building a team. This isn't going to be one from each position. We're going to be building a team. So we're going to have a quarterback. We're going to have a running back. We'll have an entire offensive line, left tackle, left guard, so on and so forth. 3 receivers, including 1 slot. 3 corners, including 1 slot. And we're running a 4-3 base defense, 4 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, and then 2 safeties. So it took a lot of work to get this. These are some of my favorite guys. So let's go into it with the quarterback. And that is going to be Michael Penix Jr. from Washington. If you guys have followed this channel for a long time, you would know I love Michael Penix Jr. I think he has some of the best arm strength of this entire draft class. He's got some of the best ball placement I have ever seen, regardless of draft class. He just fits the ball into the most perfect windows that I don't think very many people in the world can do. If he's got a very good interior offensive line, I think he's going to be a stellar quarterback at the next level. He seems like he's a guy who's going to end up going first round. He's been very productive for Washington. Obviously, there are concerns about his injury history, but he hasn't been injured the last few seasons for Washington, which I think is going to help him. It's going to bode well for him at the NFL level. I think Michael Penix Jr., he's probably going to go on the first. This is one of the exceptions. There's one more. When we get down to it, I will tell you who it is. But I really like Michael Penix Jr. I think he's got a ton of upside. His ball placement is elite. I think he is going to be a solid quarterback. He's one of my favorite players in this class. At the running back position, it's going to be Braylon Allen, one of the guys I've loved for quite a while in this draft class. As a receiver, he does absolutely nothing, which is a concern. He's got bad hands, bad route running. But as a runner, I think he's one of the most powerful workhorse backs in this class. He's very hard to tackle. Reminds me of Derrick Henry. He's so hard to bring down. He's strong. He's got stiff arms. He can run up the middle to the outside. He's got good speed. A guy I think a lot of people are sleeping on. He's also 19 years old. At the running back position, that is extremely valuable. The fact that he's a younger player for his position, I think that's going to also bode well for him at the next level. I think people are really going to fall in love with Braylon Allen when he gets into the league because he's such a powerful runner. He's young, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on what he could be. He is my running back 4. He's my running back 4 or 5. I don't remember. I believe he's 4 in this class, but I think I've seen him as low as 10 on some people's boards. I just don't see it. He's got the speed. He's got the power. He could do a lot of things as a runner, and I really value that. Getting into our first outside receiver, it's Ricky Pearsall from Florida. Probably a second-round guy. I've seen him mocked a couple times in the first, but I love Ricky Pearsall, a guy who, admittedly, I was not very high on prior to the Senior Bowl. Then I saw what this guy was doing at the Senior Bowl in terms of his route running, his ability to create separation. Went back, watched some more tape at Florida, and I fell in love with this guy. You can line him up in the slot. You can line him up on the outside, which is what we're going to be doing on my team here. You can line him up anywhere. You can line him up in the backfield. He's super athletic. He has, as you see in this picture, some of the best hands in this entire draft class. I think he is phenomenal. He has everything I look for in a receiver in terms of route running, in terms of hands, in terms of athleticism. I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. As a Colts fan, I would absolutely love to get this guy at pick number 45. Reunite him with Anthony Richardson. He's been very productive for Florida over the last few years. I think he's going to have a very good NFL career. I've got him as one of the most underrated receivers in this class. At my slot receiver, if you guys have followed this channel, you guys would know it's Jamari Thrash. I think he's got size to play on the outside, but we're going to put him in the slot. He's 5'11", which was a little bit less than I think people were expecting him to weigh in at, but that's what he weighed in at the Senior Bowl. He's probably going to end up being a slot guy at the next level. He's not the fastest. I believe he ran a 4.46, but this is a guy who can separate at the next level. I think he could do a lot of things extremely well. He's got great hands, and he's good after the catch. He's a strong runner. Him and Malik Washington were kind of in the running for this. I think both of them are fantastic players. They're very close on my board. I lean Jamari Thrash, though. I know the production was there for Malik Washington at Virginia, but I think Jamari Thrash has a lot of upside to be a really, really good receiver at the next level. Yeah, I called him this year's Puka Nacua, a guy that I don't think anybody's talking about that's going to come in, and I think he's going to make a major impact right away. He's going to be my slot receiver. My other outside receiver is a player that I wish I would have gotten to do a prospect spotlight on. A player that you guys had requested, it's Ryan Flournoy from Southeast Missouri State. This guy's awesome. I believe I have him as my wide receiver 21. I think he's got the size. He's got really good route running. He's a good separator. He comes from a smaller school, though, so he's not a guy that a lot of people are super familiar with, but he's got good hands. He showed out at the Senior Bowl. I think he's going to go in the 5th or 6th round. I think he's got a lot of upside to be a very solid receiver at the next level. And the receiver trio of Flournoy, Thrash, and Ricky Pearsall, I think makes a nice trio there to give Michael Penix some weapons. You've got a vertical threat here in Flournoy. You've got a guy who's going to catch everything in Pearsall, and you've got your underneath slot guy in Jamari Thrash. So I feel pretty good about this, and then you got a powerful runner. But who's going to be protecting our quarterback? That's the real question, and we're going to start off, with Tanner McLaughlin, who's not going to be adding much more protection there. Not a great blocker, but a guy that when I was doing my tight end rankings, I was like, I'm not going to watch Tanner McLaughlin. I haven't heard much about him. And I was like, you know what? I want to give you guys the best content possible. Let me just look at him. He was a guy that really impressed me. I think he's one of the better receiving threats in this class. Reminded me a lot of Luke Musgrave, a guy who I loved last year, was my guy in that tight end class. And I think Tanner McLaughlin is right there in terms of the receiving ability. Yeah, he doesn't have the ideal length. He's not the greatest blocker, but I think he's going to be another threat in the middle of the field to give Michael Penix another weapon here. And I think he offers a lot of experience. He was very good for Arizona. He's been very productive. He is going to be my tight end on this roster. Now we get into the offensive line. Delmar Glaze is going to be my left tackle. If you want to move him to guard, you can, but I think he has the size. He's got the foot speed, and he's got the quickness to play at that left tackle spot. Yes, he allowed some sacks, but we did a pretty good job of shoring up that interior. I think we feel pretty good about that. I like our tackle spots here. I think Delmar Glaze, if you guys go back, watch the prospect spotlight, watch my tackle rankings. We've talked about him a lot over the last week. I think he is one of the most slept-on players in this draft class. I would take him in the 3rd round because of his athletic abilities. He's a good run blocker. Yeah, he has a few missed assignments from time to time. He allowed some sacks in his collegiate career, but I think the upside is there for him to really develop into a nice starting player at the next level. And he is going to be the left tackle on this team. At left guard, if you want to swap him and put Pooney at left tackle, you can. If you want to put Glaze at left guard, either one, I like this. I like that our guys are going to be versatile. I can play Pooney at tackle. That's where he played at Kansas this year. He's a really good run blocker. And for Braylon Allen, you're going to be creating holes for him. I absolutely love that. I think he has a bit of nasty to him. He was not great at the Senior Bowl to start, but he finished out the week pretty strong. He showed some versatility to play center. He played versatility to play guard, tackle. He can play anywhere on my offensive line, and I really love that. He's very athletic. He's a good pass protector, and I think he's a good run blocker as well. I feel pretty good about that. The other guy here, it is Zach Frazier. I know he's got 1st-round buzz. He's my favorite center in this draft class. I don't think the gap between Jackson Powers-Johnson and Zach Frazier is as big as some people think it is. Zach Frazier is awesome. A former wrestler in high school. He's got incredible low center of gravity. He's strong. He moves pretty well. He's a strong run blocker. I absolutely love what Frazier could be at the next level, and he's going to be my center. We talked about how Penix needs a strong interior. Pooney, Frazier, and Christian Mahogany, I think, make a very strong interior offensive line for Michael Penix Jr. Mahogany was a guy that I didn't like at first. Admittedly, I think I had him at number 11. I think he's at number 6 or 7 now on my interior rankings. He is one of the nastiest run blockers I think I have ever seen. He is powerful. He hits with a ton of strength, and he just looks to take your head off every single block, and I love that. I think Mahogany is going to go in third. I think he's got a ton of upside, ton of athleticism. I'm going to take him to be my right guard. And then at right tackle, we're going to take Rosengarten. Forget about the national championship. This guy is a freak athlete. He's one of the best movers. We're building one of the best run blocking units, I think, in all of football right now with Roger Rosengarten, Christian Mahogany, Zach Frazier. We're going to be able to run the ball very effectively. We've got athleticism all over our offensive line. And we've got guys that I think can move out. We can move Pony to tackle. We can move Rosengarten to guard, Glaze to guard. We can move guys around. I love that. Rosengarten has great hands, good footwork, and I think he's very athletic. I think that's what I value. That's our offense right there. So we've got Penix, Braylon Allen, Ricky Pearsall, Ryan Flournoy, Jamari Thrash, Tanner McLaughlin, Dominic Pony, Delmar Glaze, Zach Frazier, Christian Mahogany, and Roger Rosengarten, who's going to be our 11-man defense. Let's look at that now. We're going to start with our first defensive end. It's going to be Chris Braswell, a guy who's probably going to go in the second, maybe third. I love Chris Braswell, and he's a guy that I don't think is really getting the buzz that he should be. He's athletic. He has incredible length. He's very good with his hands. I think he gets too reliant on his quickness and his power at points, but I think he's got a lot of tools to really develop. He's coming off a 13-sack season for Alabama, and he didn't even play every down. He's more a rotational guy for them. He can defend the run decently enough, but I think his pass rush upside is going to be incredibly valuable to this team, and I really love what Chris Braswell could bring to our offense. As of my first defensive tackle, it's going to be Evan Anderson. Now, the way I wanted to build this, I wanted to get a run-stuffing guy and a guy who's going to be able to rush the passer. The funny thing about Evan Anderson is he's going to be able to do both of those things. Yes, he has the ability to rush the passer. Had 5 sacks this past year. He's 6'2", 356, incredible size. Maybe not the most incredible length in the world, but this is a guy who I think can defend the run at an elite level. He has some decent athleticism as well. Wasn't a guy who got a combine invite, but I think Evan Anderson goes in the 5th, maybe 6th, 7th round. I love this guy. He's my number 16 defensive tackle in this class because I think he's got I don't know if he's the most explosive, but he's going to be able to stop the run at a very high rate at the next level. I could see him being like a Grover Stewart type player who could give you a little bit as a pass rusher, but it's a very good run stopper. He's going to be my first defensive tackle. And then Gabe Hall is going to be the next one. He is about 6 foot, 295. I think he's got good length. I believe he's got 84-inch wingspan. A guy who some people have compared to Chris Jones. I could see him being like a Walmart version of Chris Jones. I really could. He is a freak athlete. I think a lot of people talked about how he wasn't the most explosive. I don't know what tape they were watching because Gabe Hall is very explosive. He's got a great quick first step off the line of scrimmage, and he offers a ton of potential to be a very good pass rushing defensive tackle. Think of Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne. That's what I've got on my defensive line right now, and Gabe Hall and Evan Anderson. I think those are two guys that I absolutely love that are going to be very good starters at the next level. And then we're going to take Mo Kamara out of Colorado State, a guy who's really good as a pass rusher, another guy who's a bit undersized, very good run defending edge rusher as well, but he's got athleticism, was very productive for the Rams. Braswell can be more of our pass rushing edge rusher, and Mo Kamara can kind of pick up the run a little bit. He's a great pass rusher as well. I think we have built a very good front four here, and our linebackers I quite like as well. We got Tyrese Knight as my first linebacker, very athletic guy, good blitzer. That's why I took him. We've got a couple guys who I think thrive in coverage. Tyrese Knight is not one of those guys. We got him because I think he has some of the best rushing the passer ability of any of the linebackers in this class. He's quick, he's athletic, he gets downhill, and he makes plays, both as a run defender and as a pass rusher. I think Tyrese Knight is going to go in the 5th round, maybe 6th. Nobody's talking about him. I haven't heard anybody mention his name. He's one of my favorite sleepers. I think he's the most underrated linebacker in this draft class. And I want him on my team. He's definitely a my guy. Trevin Wallace is another my guy, a guy who's very good in coverage, incredibly athletic. We just really need to see him come downhill a little bit more because it seems like when he's triggering downhill, we just didn't get to see consistency enough from him. He's got the upside to be a very good pass rusher. He's got the athleticism, but we haven't seen it on a consistent basis. Missed tackles as well. He can get to the spot, but if he's not getting there to make a play, what's it really worth? He's got all the athleticism in the world, and I'm going to take him here to help be a coverage guy. And we've got Tyrese Knight, who's a great tackler, to really help pick that up. And then we also picked up Jalen Ford from Texas, another excellent linebacker in coverage. He's a good hitter. He's my number 8 linebacker in this draft class. He's got good range. His change of direction isn't the best, so that could be a bit of a concern. But I kind of like him to be a shallow zone coverage, quarterback spy. You bring Tyrese Knight down, and then you have Trevin Wallace matching up with the running backs, the tight ends. I think this will be an excellent linebacker trio here. I like what we've got. Everyone is doing a little bit different stuff in this linebacker room, which is what I value. Getting into the corners now, obviously it's Dwight McGlothern. If you guys have followed the channel, you would know it was Dwight McGlothern. It's been Dwight McGlothern for a long time. I don't get why. I talked about this in my biggest sleepers video. I don't get why nobody's talking about him. He's the consensus number 27 corner in the class. He's my number 11 corner in the class. He's got the athleticism. He's a very good mover, and he's very good in zone coverage. I like what he can bring in man coverage as well. He's physical and press. I'm going to take him to be my CB1 here, be a very good piece here. And then we're going to take Miles Harden to be my slot. Did a video about him recently. If it wasn't for injuries, I think we'd be talking a little bit higher of him, but he's a great mover. He has some incredibly quick, fluid hips. He's got great movement abilities and very good ball skills. I think he's perfect in that slot. I think he could play outside as well, but I really like what he could bring. And I think he's going to be a very good slot corner at the next level from an FCS school that I think we haven't really seen them produce a ton of NFL talent, but I think Miles Harden's going to be a stud. The last corner on our roster is going to be Kamal Haddon, a guy who I really wanted to include in my top 20 corners. It's just really a lack of production outside of 2023 for him. He's athletic. He's quick. He closes on the ball very quickly. And I think he's got a ton of upside to be a really good corner at the next level. He's probably going to go in that 5th to 7th round range. He's a day 3 prospect. And I think if you watch Tennessee games, he was everywhere for this team. I think he's going to be everywhere at the next level. So I've got a cornerback trio of McGlothern, Harden, and Haddon. I feel pretty good about that. And then on the back end here, finishing off our team at free safety, I'm going to take Bo Braid from Maryland. I love what he can do. He's got incredibly high IQ, can cover underneath. If Trevin Wallace can't finish the job, I think Bo Braid's going to be there. He's maybe not the fastest, allowed some bigger plays, but I think he is going to come downhill, be a very smart player. I think he's one of the best coverage safeties in this class. I love what he can bring. And then at strong safety, we are going to play Keaton Oladapo out of Oregon State, a guy who's huge. I believe he's about 6'2", 210. He can come downhill, play that money backer role. I love what he's going to provide to us, and that is my team of my guys. Those are my favorite players. I would love to hear your guys' favorite players down below in this class. At each position, build your own team. Let me know who your favorite prospects are at each position in this draft class. Leave a like, subscribe if you are new. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.